Hey everyone, it's Concat. Welcome back to another video on the channel. In today's video, we're doing a speed renovation of the Alto house. This is for my Sunset Valley renovation world, which is actually coming out tomorrow. So make sure you guys stay tuned to the channel for that. The video of the full world overview will be out. But if you guys kind of want a little sneak peek or whatever of what's going on in this new Sunset Valley save file, you guys can actually go on over to CJ's channel. CJ is somebody that I collab with a lot. He's one of my good friends. He's another Sims 3 content creator. And he actually just did an early access world overview of my Sunset Valley world. So yeah, if you guys want to just see the world today, right now, girl, go check it out right after this video. I will have his video linked in the description box down below. I decided to give CJ early access because, he's known for his world overviews. And also I just kind of wanted someone's opinion on the world if there was any changes that needed to be done before the actual release. So I thought it would be a good idea to give it to him first. And there was a lot of extra store content I didn't realize I had in the world. So thankfully CJ caught it all and I took notes in my mind and I was like, okay, I gotta go in and fix this before the release. I am going out of town too, so it's like I want to make sure everything is perfect before I head out because I won't have my computer or my setup or anything like that when I'm out of town. So anyways, yeah, go check out CJ's channel if you guys want to see the entire world overview. He didn't go through every single house. I mean, the video is an hour long, so he obviously did go pretty much into detail for all the community lots and a couple of the homes here and there. So yeah, go check it out if you guys want a sneak peek of, what's coming tomorrow. So anyways, moving on to today's video. Today, like I said, we are renovating the Alto house. This is for my Sunset Valley renovation, and this is my favorite house in the entire world. Now, I am not one to love mansions in The Sims 3 at all. I actually think they're really ugly just because it's kind of hard filling up spaces in big rooms or just big houses in general in The Sims 3. We're very limited on furniture, especially for those of us who do not play with any type of CC or a whole bunch of store content. But I love what I ended up doing with this house, and it is my absolute favorite in the entire world, which is crazy because it's a mansion and that is not me at all. But it just turned out so nice, you guys, so please stick around until the end of the video. You guys will be able to see screenshots of the house in first person, and it looks so nice. So let me tell you a little bit about the lore before I get into the details of the build. So first of all, this is for Holly Alto. She originally grew up here with her parents, Nick Alto and Vita Alto. I'm just going to give you a little quick rundown of the lore for Holly and why I decided to renovate the house the way that I did. So first of all, the actual description for the Alto family as a whole is the Altos are new money. They're unscrupulous. Come to find out, that means having or showing no moral principles, not honest or fair. So their unscrupulous business practices have gotten them far in this town. Unofficially, they own most of the local shops, but how did their daughter become such a goody two-shoes? Also, it's worth noting that the Alto family, so the two parents, do have beef with the land grabs. Come to find out, there's some feud going on between them, which is why, it's kind of funny that you live across from each other in Sunset Valley, kind of showing off their wealth or whatever. So that's something to note. So now we're going to get into the actual parents themselves. So Nick, the father, an utterly ruthless businessman, Nick Alto, along with his wife, has plotted the misfortune of almost everyone they've met. And he is a mean-spirited sim. So now for Vita, Holly's mom, it says for her, as charming as she is unscrupulous, it is highly unfortunate for all of the town that Vita Alto is a politician with any sort of power. And the reason why her biography says this about her is because she is actually an evil sim. And also on the Sims wiki, it's worth noting that this is being said about her. It says, as a local representative in the political career, she is very charismatic, but what most other neighborhood Sims are unaware of is that she is also evil. So it seems like nobody in the damn town knows, that that's her true self. And the reason why I'm mentioning the parents is because this leads me to Holly and the whole lore that I wrote for her. So now for Holly's biography, and just so you know, she does start off as a teen in Sunset Valley. It says for her, Holly somehow managed to develop the polar opposite moral code of her parents and is consistently striving to turn them to good. The traits that she has are good, vegetarian, artistic, and easily impressed as a teen. And then a lot of people do speculate that she's adopted because she doesn't have dark hair like her parents do. But I don't think she's adopted because in the Sims wiki, it also mentions that if she were to have kids, usually they end up getting some of her parents' genetics. So I don't think she's adopted. I truly think this is like a Matilda, you know, the movie Matilda type of situation. Where Matilda is like fun and she has these nice powers. She uses them for good. She loves books. And then there's her parents, you know, who are not that great. So I think this is actually what's going on here in this household. Also, I forgot to mention that Nick Alto, her father, is actually in the business career, but his lifetime wish is to become the Emperor of Evil. So he does want to join the criminal career. But, you know, they're just keeping their evilness down low. You know what I mean? So the other townies don't find out. And so finally, this all leads me to Holly's lore. So what I'd like to think happened with Holly and her parents is as follows. So first of all, obviously Holly left to university. She got her degrees and she went out there in the real world. I'd like to think after she graduated uni, she came back to Sunset Valley to live with her parents once more. She joined the politician career just like her mom, but obviously Holly did it for good reasons, not bad ones like her evil mother. Once Holly got far enough in her politician career because, you know, she was doing well, she was impressing people, she decided to give both of her parents a choice. She said, I either turn you in for being evil and corrupt, or I'll give you some grace and you guys can completely disappear from this town and never look back. Kind of like Matilda's parents did towards the end of the movie when they moved to Guam randomly and then they gave Matilda to Miss Honey. And so obviously nobody wants to be in freaking jail. So they said, you know what? We're taking your second option. We're packing our bags and we're leaving. You can have the house. It'll be in your name. And they left. I'd like to think that they never spoke to Holly again because obviously she wanted nothing to do with these people. They are her parents, but it's like they're complete opposites. And long story short, that brings us to today's video. Holly obviously was doing well in her career. She eventually ended up becoming the mayor of Sunset Valley. So obviously she is getting paid a good coin for keeping the town functioning, everyone happy. I'd like to think that Holly was setting some money to the side to save up to eventually renovate her childhood home. You guys know those freaking YouTube videos of architectural design or whatever, the YouTube channel where they go into celebrities' homes. And then the celebrities are always like, oh yeah, I hired this designer to help me with my house. I'd like to think that Holly did that, but in a humble way, of course. I love my girl. So anyways, yes, that is the vibe that I kind of wanted to do for Holly. I wanted it to be very fun and eccentric because you guys will see it in a second. Eventually we'll get there. But Holly's room, her teen room, was actually really, really colorful. There's a lot of pattern in there. And so I was kind of inspired by that. And also, I mean, she is an artistic sim. That is one of her traits. So I'd like to think that she wanted some pops of colors here and there, very fun designs throughout the house. Now, the house itself is just plain white walls, but the furniture is what brings the pop of color into the home, except for this area of the house. So we are currently on the left side of the house if you're facing it frontwards. And basically what I ended up making this whole downstairs wing, quote unquote, of the house was her office. I'd like to think that maybe, you know, as a mayor, she has to take some meetings here at home whenever she doesn't want to go clock in at City Hall, you know what I mean? She can just work from here. She can hold meetings here. If people need to come over, then she has a spot to take meetings at her house. So that is what I dedicated this entire wing to, is just her work. But I made it really, really cute. The walls here are super fun colors. We have the blue kind of like waiting room, and then her main office is green. And then I also ended up putting a nice restroom over here off to the side. Again, you know, if people have to come over to do some work with her or whatever, then the restroom is right there. And then this basically just leads into the foyer, or, you know, the entrance or whatever. Here, I just kept it really simple. We have a white wall with a beautiful pink trim. I think it's really, really cute. And then I just ended up adding this cute little corner seating area, again, with pops of color. That is something that you're going to be seeing throughout the entire house. And then also I am going to talk about a little bit about the actual house itself, the exterior of it, because I was talking through all that. But anyways, so for the exterior of the house, I actually did not end up changing the shape at all. The Alto house is extremely ugly to begin with, but honestly, some wallpaper as well as changing all the windows to these nice, sleek black moment, it's really, really cute. And then also on the exterior, you might have seen it, but we are doing like a sort of white beigey type of brick throughout the entire house, and it looks so modern, you guys. It elevated the house so much. As far as the landscape goes, I did use hedges around the entire house and some red and white roses. I think it looks amazing outside with the white brick and the black windows. It just looks so freaking nice and modern. And like I said, I kept the original shape of the house, but I did add like, you know, these extra big looking columns every so often. But honestly, the actual shape of the house itself is still here. I didn't really change it. So you can definitely recognize that this is the Alto house from the outside if you just pay close attention. Also, I didn't really change the roofing at all either, or at least too much. What did change was the interior floor plan, but the stairs I did keep in the same spot. So here we are working on the dining room. I was originally planning, oh, here we are in Holly's room, by the way. So do you see how colorful it is in here and all the different patterns? So it makes sense for this to be her house. Once it's fully finished, you guys will see the vision. It is definitely Holly, but just, you know, a more grown-up Holly. So anyways, yeah, that was her colorful room. So anyways, like I was saying, we are currently in the dining room, and what I was gonna say was I wanted to keep original objects in the house, but I actually didn't end up keeping anything because honestly, everything that was in this house was freaking ugly. The walls were ugly, the floor was ugly, the stairs were ugly, everything about it was freaking ugly, okay? So everything here is new and improved. So anyways, yeah, so here we are in the dining room, like I was saying, and this is really where you start to see what I mean by pops of color. So even though the walls are plain or whatever, you can see that the furniture is a little fun. And even if the furniture itself is not fun, the rugs in this house definitely are. They bring a lot of color into the home. So there's fun pops of colors, but it's also not overdoing it and making the house look childish, if that makes sense. I also ended up using these, I'm pretty sure they're coffee tables from Showtime, but I ended up turning them into these cute striped benches, and I did this twice in the home. There's a bench downstairs and upstairs. And then here we are working in the living room. I had a hard time working on this living room. It actually took me a while to figure out what I wanted to do in here, but I ended up bringing back the white walls with the pink trim, and then I actually ended up painting an entire wall that pink color and sliding some bookshelves into the wall a bit so that they would look built in. You guys will see that in just a second, but again, the colorful rugs really do it for me in this house. I think it's so nice to add color into a home with rugs, and it doesn't feel like it's overdoing it, to be honest with you. The house still looks very nice, very sophisticated. So here's the whole like built-in wall that I was talking about, the pink wall with the bookshelves that are built in, quote unquote, but all I did was really just slide the bookshelves into the actual wall a little bit with move objects on to make it look like they were built in. So that's a little tip for you guys in case you're tired of using the same old bookshelves and you want to use it in a new way. And then also the TV that I'm using for the living room is a Bug TV. I don't know why or how to get it from Bug, like in actual gameplay. I've never actually gotten it myself through gameplay, but I did remember that we had a pretty grand TV, so I did put it in here for this pretty grand house. And so now here we have moved on to the guest room. I actually ended up cutting a lot of the footage out of me furnishing some of these rooms because I didn't really know what to do at first, because again, I was trying to go for this like colorful theme. I don't really know if it would be called eccentric, but you know, just not your usual typical type of rooms. So the aesthetic for this one is definitely more like classical, but still with pops of colors or whatever. So anyways, yeah, I cut out a lot of that footage from that room, but that is a guest room. And then over here, we are moving on to my favorite bathroom of this entire house. All the bathrooms are completely different, by the way. I wanted them all to be a little fun and have their own character. This one is my absolute favorite. I love the patterns that I went with in this one. It's just a very pastel, girly pop-esque. I love it a lot. The floor is so cute. The wallpaper is so cute. Yeah, this is just a very gorgeous bathroom. So anyways, here we are moving on to the kitchen. So originally I was going to have the kitchen be this giant open concept, but you'll see it in just a sec. I actually ended up making a butler's pantry. So the kitchen is a little small now. now because of that. But I actually think it looks really, really nice. It's kind of nice having a spot to just hide all of the bulky appliances that, they're not aesthetic, girl. But anyways, yeah. So we do have a butler's pantry, and then also we have the side door over here. So if you go out that side door, that actually leads you to the garage, which you guys will see towards the end of the video. That's when we start furnishing the garage. But yeah, so that's where those doors lead. But anyways, the aesthetic for the kitchen, again, was more of a whimsical, classical type of feel. And then we also have the gorgeous wallpaper. It's this nice bluish gray color with these golden flowers and vines going through it. I don't know. I just love it a lot. And then for the counters, I went with the cute blue for like the main part of the kitchen. And then for the island and the butler's pantry, I ended up going with a beautiful white pattern. There is a pattern on there. I just made it very subtle so it wouldn't be too much. And so now what we're furnishing is a little library room that I made / like little keyboard room. I did put a keyboard in here. I don't know, girl. Maybe it's just for looks. I'm not too sure. But anyways, I was originally going to go with this like mauve purplish type of color, but I ended up changing this whole room to black. And then just adding, little pops of colors here and there. And then over here, I'm attempting to do a different type of looking like built-in situation. I think it turned out really cute. I always say this in a lot of my furnishing videos. As a Sims 3 player, you have to find different ways to use the same furniture because it gets boring real quick in the Sims 3 because, again, we don't get any updates or anything like that. So anyways, yeah, that's a cute little thing that I, configured or whatever for the library room. And so like I mentioned earlier, in the video, one of Holly's traits is she's an artistic sim. So over here on this corner of the house, so we are right above her office area. So up here, I decided to make this her art studio, this entire wing of the house upstairs, just because, she is the mayor. She's doing a high stress job. I imagine that's stressful to be a mayor. So anyways, my girl needs to do a little relaxing here and there and work on her own hobbies whenever she does have the time. So I did end up making this whole freaking octagon. I don't freaking know what shape this is, girl. I'm not good at math or geometry. So anyways, whatever shaped room this is her actual art studio with all the windows or whatever. And then right before entering the octagon, whatever freaking studio, right before that, we have like the little hallway with a seating area and a couple of her office or art supplies. And this is also the perfect time to tell you guys there are only 2 bedrooms in this giant house. And the reason why is because I personally do not see Holly as somebody who has kids. At least in my save file, she will not be having any children. So this house literally only has the guest room and Holly's master bedroom with a giant walk-in closet, a giant bathroom. You guys will see that in a second. But if you guys want to turn this into a family home and download it on your own and furnish it yourself, you guys can feel free to do that. If you like what the exterior looks like, if you like the layout of, the inside for the most part, but you just need more bedrooms, feel free to do whatever changes you need to do. I just personally do not see Holly having children, okay? And I actually see her having a wife. And even then, I don't think that she would adopt because of, the experience with her evil parents. That's just my lore though. So, but again, feel free to do whatever you want with this house. But yeah, this house is all about Holly, girl. And on the topic of all about Holly, here's her giant theater room. Well, I guess it's not giant, but I do have a giant TV in here and a nice bar, a cute little polka dot couch. I think this is a gorgeous little movie room. We are actually overlooking the main living room downstairs. It is gorgeous up here. I really love how this cute little theater room turned out, and I think it's very bougie, and I normally never actually do any theaters in my Sims homes. This is actually the only one in this entire world. No other house has a freaking theater in it. So, she's bougie or whatever. She's the mayor of this town and she's making it known, girl. Whatever she wants, she gets, like Ariana said. And we're moving on to the bedroom right now. So this is her gorgeous little place where she comes and rests her head, after a long day of mayoring or whatever, if that's even a word, being the mayor of Sunset Valley. But anyways, yeah, so this is her bedroom. I wanted to do it a little more moody in here, some darker colors, but still very colorful. Now, this room is a little awkward because of the window and the door placement. So I actually ended up building this like wall thing to divide the room a little bit, but it's not centered, unfortunately. So if that does bother you, I do apologize, but I think it's cute. It's a nice separation between the bed, the TV, and then, you know, the window. So it does give you a little bit of privacy, I guess. You know what I mean? Because there are freaking stalkers in The Sims 3. The paparazzi will never leave my Sims alone. They're freaking annoying, girl. They literally walk into my damn house in my legacy challenge. I don't even invite them in. They just walk in while my Sim is sleeping, take a picture of my Sim in her bed, usually the heir, because they're always the famous ones, and like, they're freaking weird. So having that divider there is nice for Holly, okay? Because she's gonna need it. So anyways, moving on. Moving on. I don't know how we got onto that topic. I basically talked through the entire walk-in closet moment, but here it is. Here's just me adding the little finishing touches. It's really cute, and I did actually fit a wardrobe in there for Holly to use and to change her outfit or whatever. So yeah, that was her walk-in closet, and then here we are working on her bathroom. I ended up going with a softer aesthetic, I suppose, for her bathroom. I don't really know why. I just liked this moment, okay? I did, because listen, in the bathroom, you're relaxed, okay? And I also end up doing this sort of extra freaking thing for the shower where it's a giant walk-in shower. I do end up moving the bathtub in here as well into the shower room. So yeah, I don't know. I just think it looks very nice and grand, and it makes sense for a mansion. So here we are doing that. And then for the vanity, this is what I ended up doing. I don't ever really use these sinks for anything, but I thought they looked nice here. So yeah, that's what I ended up going for. And the last thing that I worked on was the garage. So we are actually towards the end of the video. Please stick around for these screenshots. I had so much fun taking them. I felt like a realtor. So stay tuned for that. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you let me know by hitting the thumbs up for me. Let me know in the comments what you think about my lore and also what you think about the house. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do. Thank you guys so much for watching.